here in Australia and 2 overseas in Hong Kong and Singapore to accommodate the growing number of graduates. Today, the ceremony will be presided over by the Deputy Chancellor and will be attended by the Vice Chancellor, members of Council, deans, faculty members, and senior members of the university. They form the academic procession, which will shortly enter the auditorium. The University Mace, symbol of dignity and authority of the university, is carried by Emeritus Professor Ray Tokley. In the academic procession, it will precede the Deputy Chancellor, the Honourable Justice Jane Matthews, and the guest speaker, who this morning is Ms. Doreen Cheong. Professor Marilyn Slay, Dean of the Faculty of Life Sciences, and Professor Colin Sutherland, Dean of the Faculty of Science and Technology, will present candidates to the Deputy Chancellor. Professor John Nyland, Vice Chancellor, will give the vote of thanks. The colourful academic dress worn by members of the academic procession and worn by the graduates consists of a cap, a gown, and a hood or stole, whose colour represents a particular degree or diploma. We ask you to respect the solemnity of the occasion and refrain from doing anything which might interfere with the ceremony. In particular, you are asked not to move beyond the last row of graduates to take photos. You are also requested to turn off mobile phones. Thank you. All graduates will be photographed as they are receiving their award, and photos can be ordered in the pavilions where morning tea will be served after the ceremony. The ceremony will also be videotaped and videos can be ordered. The academic procession is about to enter. Would you please stand and remain standing until after the singing of the national anthem?
University, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to extend a very warm welcome to you all. This congregation is assembled in the traditional way to witness the conferring of awards on those who are qualified to receive them. Those of you who are about to receive awards have every right to be proud of your very considerable achievement, marked, I have no doubt, by a great deal of hard work and self-discipline. I congratulate you all, and I wish you every happiness, personal satisfaction and success in the various ways in which you will choose to apply your learning. When you take a first degree, you become a permanent member of the university and a member of the Alumni Association, the Association of Graduates. I hope that you'll continue to contribute to the university through the work of the Alumni Association. It is a very valuable association in the life of the university. It's of the greatest importance to the university that it can look to you, its graduates, to forge and maintain close links between the university and the community in which you'll be living and working. And graduates can play a very significant role in the development of the university by offering back to it the fruits of the experience which they gain in the application of the intellectual disciplines acquired here. Every university owes a duty to the community which it serves to produce graduates trained in a variety of skills and disciplines and able to provide the intellectual leadership which an increasingly complex society requires. You are part of that product, and upon your achievements, the reputation of the university depends. Wherever you are, whatever you do, the good wishes of all of us here go with you. I should finally like to congratulate your families. I know that you'll agree that some, at least, of the credit for your success belongs to them. They've supported and encouraged you whilst you've been students, and their support entitles them to share in the satisfaction which is rightly yours today. I now declare, in the name of the Council and by my authority as Deputy Chancellor, that the candidates are to be admitted to the awards for which they are qualified. Doreen Cheong, Director, Coopers & Lybrand Consultants. Doreen Cheong commenced her working career in an administrative function in the insurance industry. Subsequently, she acquired experience in accounting, administrative and managerial roles in the business, equipment and hospitality industry. Prior to joining Coopers & Lybrand Services, she was a partner in a business engaged in the design, manufacture and retailing of precious jewellery. In April 1980, Doreen Cheong was appointed to the position of consultant at Coopers & Lybrand Services, the management consulting division of the firm. Since that time, Doreen Cheong's work as a senior consultant and industrial psychologist has exposed her to a diversity of consulting assignments for client organisations. These assignments included assisting both private and public sector clients in the recruitment and selection of professional and senior executives for their organisations, conducting psychological appraisals for selection, promotion or performance management purposes, and providing advice on remuneration packages. Her current role also requires considerable time spent on the supervision, guidance and coaching of less experienced consultants and psychologists in training. Doreen Cheong holds the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Psychology and Economics from the University of Sydney. She is a member of the Australian Psychological Society, a Fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants, and a chartered member of the Australian Human Resources Institute. She is a registered psychologist. Ladies and gentlemen, Doreen Cheong.
Deputy Chancellor and Vice-Chancellor, members of the University, graduates and ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is an honour to be invited to address the graduates on this very memorable occasion, a case of town coming to gown. For a fleeting moment, I thought I might title my address as Quantifying and Measuring the Impact of Tunnel Vision on Behaviour in the Global Environment, since that topic would have included mathematics, optometry, psychology, and geography. But I won't be doing that. Let me offer my congratulations on the completion of your degree and my felicitations to your families on this happy day. I know from personal experience how important it is to have the support and encouragement of those who are close and dear. This is indeed a proud moment for you all and a cause for great joy and celebration. As graduates, you have reached a threshold of your professional career. As you cross that threshold, many of the skills that you have acquired in the process of attaining that valued piece of paper are a good foundation for what is required in the world of work. It is the process to which you were exposed throughout your studies which should not be overlooked. Your efforts in meeting assignment deadlines or supervisory milestones, working on projects either on your own or in a syndicate, in collating, analysing and interpreting data, and critically evaluating assumptions, as well as maintaining that focus on the end degree, are the basis for work-related skills such as goal setting, planning, organising and prioritising, creative thinking and critical analysis, and synthesising a multiplicity of ideas. These are the attributes which are sought by the employers with whom I speak in my capacity as a headhunter and organisational psychologist. These skills are positive starting points when discussing your strengths with a potential employer, and they can be as impressive as the discipline, determination and perseverance that you have shown in completing your degree. However, there is a long road ahead and a great store of riches for those of you who want to pursue a career in the corporate world. You never know. I could be interviewing you in a few years' time. I would like to speak briefly of my own personal career experience. Then I will talk about the impact of change, balance, and global best practice requirements, and how they are likely to affect your future career if you choose the corporate path. As I reflect on my own and professional development since taking my degree, I think that the best advice that I can give you is to be flexible and open-minded, and to make the most of every opportunity. While the degree can be seen as a license to learn, what will reap the most riches and rewards for you is to let go of, to unlearn if you like, a whole cluster of attitudes, expectations, assumptions and self-images, and to try and see the world as someone outside your discipline would see it. I commenced my degree with my heart set on becoming an adult counsellor, believing that my need to work with people would be met. It was the chance placement of a vacancy on a university's Careers Centre's notice board and an opportunity to gain interview experience that totally changed my career plans. I came into Coopers and Lybrand, not by design, and little did I know it then, into a rather unfriendly environment. On joining those many years ago, I found the firm to be male-dominated and conservative. For example, the annual staff dinner was only for male employees and was held in conjunction with the annual football match with Pete Marwick. There were no female partners, and the career for a woman ended when she became pregnant, as there was no such thing as maternity leave or superannuation for female employees. It has gladdened me to see so many of the graduates today as being of the female gender. Since then, while change has been slow, it has moved in the right direction. Now the annual dinner is for all staff. About 10% of all partners are female, and we have maternity leave, flexible working hours, and superannuation for all employees. More importantly, the drive behind these changes has gone far beyond the minimum legislative requirements. The real boost has come from the need to be globally competitive, using the best of all resources available. The gender distribution can balance an organisation, and therefore the approach and advice that it gives customers. I have seen the acceptance of change as a corporate value, replacing male chauvinism. My work has been a rich learning experience, particularly as it relates to dealing with people. I have learned to work as a member of a team and to balance that with a more individualistic yearning to compete and win. I have also learned to manage the expectations of customers and have them believe that we have come to a win-win solution, as well as satisfying their customer service expectations. The role has indeed been most fulfilling. Certainly, the working environment which you are entering is vastly different to that which I entered. The necessity for organisations to operate in very competitive environments and to cut costs have resulted in numerous restructurings and changes in direction in almost all business sectors. In the process, it has required employees to embrace this constant and rapid change and to continuously improve. Change is a major challenge, as inherently we like to be in control of our lives and to dictate the pace of change on our terms. The introduction of technology, the outsourcing of particular functions, and the contracting out of activities all mean that jobs within traditional organisations are disappearing. It is not that there is less to do, only that work isn't organised along the old regimented lines of going to the same workplace, working from 9 to 5 Mondays to Fridays, and having tasks to perform as set out in the job description. Indeed, the job as we know it is not part of tomorrow's economic reality. The biggest change as the industrial age winds down and computers do more of the repetitious work is away from structured jobs in the office or factory to flexible, part-time, temporary, contract or consultancy work. You only have to look up the yellow pages to see the ever-growing list of consultants. It is likely that you will be doing many jobs throughout your working life and will be responsible for your own career. There could be as many as 7 career changes ahead for you. Here, I am not only talking of your moving from one organisation or industry sector to another. As companies flatten their organisational structures, the challenge in your work is more likely to come from horizontal and less from vertical movements through companies. Increasingly, we will see people reinventing themselves as a one-person business, the total of which will build into a career. In a world without stable and clear-cut jobs, the new competency that workers will require is the ability to look for work that needs doing. This will mean learning to read a market for service opportunities, to spot change-generated needs, and to define and develop a personal product to meet those needs. We now live in a borderless world. New communication technologies have made the global village a reality. Competition and opportunities could come from anywhere. Skill requirements will be changing so quickly that daily learning will be as familiar to us as daily work. Employers will be looking for behaviours that lead to organisational effectiveness and the personal characteristics that are associated with such behaviour. They will wish to create a continuous learning culture. Perhaps that is enough about change, so I will now move on and talk about balance. In attaining your degree, you have demonstrated the discipline to be informed and to think actively. Thinking actively is essential to dealing with the constant and rapid changes which I have been speaking about. Your degree has given you training in thinking, in using information to critically evaluate, and to come up with alternate thoughts and ideas. As you move away from university life, it is very easy to give up thinking actively in everyday life. Too easily can you become involved in doing tasks and handling operational issues which are second nature, and forego the time to reflect. Too easily can you become preoccupied with technical issues in your chosen field and overlook those issues being debated in the community at large. Too easily can you spend time sitting in front of the computer screen rather than picking up that work of literature and not delay reading it until you are on holidays. Too easily can you be seduced by the competitive drive and ambition to climb the corporate ladder, with the result being that your career and the world of work becomes all too consuming. We are also running the risk of being information-rich and knowledge-poor. The continual exposure to information, technology and telecommunications doesn't mean that we know more. However, your training has given you the capacity to sift through this information, to interpret it and apply creative judgment, to displace that which is of less relevance, and to combine a dose of practicality and common sense so that information serves you. The advantage of getting older is that you generally become more balanced, and therefore the getting of wisdom seems to be easier. In addition to the formal training which you have acquired, you have now been accorded a certain status in the community, that of graduate. Generally, this means enhanced job opportunities and higher financial rewards than can generally be earned by the rest of the population. However, there are some sections of the community who believe that graduates, with their capacity to think and work at a professional level, can play a bigger community leadership role. With the often cited unethical behaviour of our political leaders, the questionable integrity of some of the captains of industry, and the negative behaviour of some of our clergy, our traditional role models have been found to be wanting, and new ones need to be identified. While it is easy to adopt a "what's in it for me" attitude, let me leave you with the thought of adding yet another hat, that of role model, to the many which you will be wearing. Further, from my exposure to interviewing many successful executives, it appears that the ones who make an impact have carried their competencies beyond their jobs into other aspects of their lives: their families, sport, the arts, and into community and civic arenas. As globalisation and best practice have a major impact on the way in which we work, trade, and compete, let me briefly touch on that aspect. It is interesting to reflect on the overriding themes which have dominated the business world over the past 50 years or so. In the 1960s, it was engineering and manufacturing which were king. Many qualified engineers became captains of industry because if you could solve the problems of production, there was a ready market for you. In the 1970s, the world and Australia reached an oversupply of products, and therefore marketing became the dominant discipline. Everyone could produce, but not everyone could sell. What happened in the 1980s was that technology advanced, but at an enormous cost. Due to the need to finance technology and other capital requirements, accountants and bankers became the disciplines in demand, and the top money earners. Looking forward to the year 2000 and beyond, those people with the knowledge of worldwide business trends, the effects of the global economy on the different regions, and the importance of benchmarking best practice will assume supremacy in the corporate world. The message here is not to forget that Australia is home, but to travel and become global, physically, experientially, and spiritually. In concluding, I would like to offer my best wishes for your future career. You have every right to feel positive, knowing that you are walking away with a degree from one of the best and highest respected universities in the land. Just remember that self-motivation is essential to success. When combined with commitment, an open-minded and flexible approach, and a strong sense of professional integrity, the opportunities for personal growth and professional development are there for the taking. Thank you.
The vote of thanks will be given by the Vice-Chancellor, Professor John Nyland.
Graduation ceremonies are truly wonderful events. They're one of those few occasions these days when we openly embrace ritual, we get together, all together with a little pomp and circumstance thrown in for good measure. In today's ceremony, we salute the achievements of our newest graduates. We have presented to you our testama, which is the university's certification that you are now qualified to join our ranks of renowned, soon-to-be famous graduates. Graduation ceremonies also let us get together as a university family. Staff, departing students, members of our governing council, and of course the relatives and friends of the graduates, and the relatives and friends, of course, have played such a critical role in making the focal point of today's ceremony possible, but more of that shortly. And graduation ceremonies also let us pause and pay tribute to those who have helped bring the new graduates through to this day of triumph, and I do, of course, refer to the staff, the academics of the university who are represented on the stage with me today. Universities are rather challenging places these days. We live in very challenging times, and it takes a special dedication to work and succeed within a university, and what better evidence of how our academics have worked and succeeded with dedication than the new graduates who sit before us today. And I'm sure you would wish to join me in saluting and thanking those of your staff who have made this possible. And of course, graduation ceremonies give us an opportunity to hear the wisdom of an eminent member of society. Today's words from Doreen Cheong have been in the finest traditions of the university graduation address. Her address has drawn on the experience of one who has already travelled upon the road today's graduates are embarking. It was elegant, it was wise, it was thoughtful. It challenged us all to think differently and to take up new ideas. It reminded us of the importance of being flexible and open-minded, and as I heard someone say the other day, it reminded us that the future is not what it used to be. So on behalf of all assembled here today, might I express to you our appreciation for such a fine contribution to this, the most important of our ceremonies. And I ask all in the auditorium to join me in the conventional way. As we come to the conclusion of today's ceremony, we also come to that point which has become a tradition at UNSW, and that is to provide the new graduates with an opportunity to pay a particular regard, salute and thanks to their families and friends, those who have helped make today possible. How many times has it been necessary for the support network, the family and the friends, the neighbours, those all involved, to make enough time clear for the preparation of that exam, or in order to get the essay in on time, or simply to provide the support when times become a little difficult, a little stressed and strained, as they inevitably do in the hurly-burly and pressure of a university education and experience. So I'm going to ask today's graduates to please now stand and to turn and to face your support networks. You will need a clear set of hands, so perhaps your cap on the head and the testamer under your arm. And would you please join me in saluting the support that has been given and applauding as well. If the graduates would please stay standing, and those in the auditorium, if you would also please rise. That brings us now to the conclusion. You are all, of course, invited to refreshments behind the Clancy, and the official party will now depart. Thank you.